exposed and Trump won in a landslide, Jake Tapper has seen the light. He's announcing a brand new book, Original Sin: President Biden's Decline, Its Cover-Up, and His Disastrous Choice to Run Again.
Enter Jake Tapper. Known for his role in CNN's newsroom, Tapper's commentary has often been considered somewhat impartial, though it is clear that his past actions and reporting have been scrutinized in light of his latest statements. Tapper, in the face of mounting evidence, recently began to express concerns about Biden's ability to continue in office. His new book, Original Sin, deals with the decline of President Biden, its cover-up, and the disastrous decision to run again in the upcoming election. It's a bold move, one that exposes just how deeply the media's narrative can affect public perception and how hard it can be for the truth to come to light, especially when there are political motivations behind keeping certain stories hidden. The EED discussion surrounding Biden's cognitive decline isn't just about his health. It's about the integrity of the press and the way they've handled critical information. For years, journalists like Tapper have been complicit in keeping certain truths from the public, often siding with the Democratic narrative for the sake of political convenience. But now, as Tapper releases his book, he is forced to face the music. His participation in what many are calling the Biden cover-up is a betrayal of the trust placed in him by the American people. Tapper himself has admitted the uncomfortable nature of witnessing someone in such a fragile state on stage, but it was his own platform, alongside other media giants, that failed to fully report on these concerns for years. His financial gain from this silence, and his ability to publish a book about the very issue he previously ignored, reflects the sad state of affairs in the media industry today. The consequences of this cover-up are far-reaching. Journalists who once had credibility have seen their trust erode. People like Tapper, who were once regarded as the arbiters of truth, now find themselves at the center of criticism. But this is not just about Tapper or any individual journalist. It's about the entire media industry and its growing detachment from the American public. Mainstream media has long been in a position of power, controlling the narrative and deciding which stories were worth reporting. But now, with a new wave of independent media outlets and journalists rising in prominence, the mainstream press is facing a reckoning. The truth has a way of surfacing, and when it does, it's often more uncomfortable than anyone anticipated. And now, with President Biden's administration facing increasing scrutiny over its handling of the pandemic, the economy and other key issues, the credibility of the media is more important than ever. Unfortunately, as the legacy media continues to lose its grip on the truth, a new group of journalists is stepping in to fill the void. One of the most notable shifts in the media landscape is the rise of podcasts, especially those created by political figures. Figures like Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, have seen the writing on the wall and recognize that they cannot rely on the traditional media structures to boost their political careers. In a landscape dominated by biased narratives and a shrinking traditional media audience, Newsom has decided to launch his own podcast. Unlike his predecessors, Newsom isn't just talking to his political allies or followers. He's seeking out real, unscripted conversations with people who challenge him, people he doesn't necessarily agree with, and people who are ready to have honest, meaningful discussions. This is a departure from the usual polished and controlled media appearances that political figures rely on, and Newsom's shift demonstrates the growing demand for new ways of engaging with the public. This shift away from legacy media is part of a larger trend that began under the leadership of former President Donald Trump. Trump, a master of unconventional media strategies, was able to circumvent traditional press outlets and speak directly to the public through social media and non-traditional platforms. His numerous podcast appearances allowed him to speak candidly and connect with the American people in ways that traditional media simply couldn't. By bypassing the media establishment, Trump set the stage for a new era of communication, where public figures are no longer beholden to the rules and filters of legacy media. As more political figures begin to recognize the power of non-traditional media, including podcasts, traditional outlets are facing increased pressure to adapt or be left behind. Newsom, much like Trump before him, is exploring the power of media as a tool for real conversations with people who don't always agree with him. His goal is to shift the national conversation away from the media elite's narrative and toward a more inclusive, multidimensional dialogue. But the mainstream media isn't just sitting idly by as it faces its decline. There are significant battles underway within the industry, with key players like Lester Holt and Rachel Maddow losing their positions or undergoing significant changes. In response to the shifting landscape, legacy outlets such as NBC, the Associated Press, and the Washington Post are feeling the heat as their established dominance in the news industry faces growing challenges. Tapper's role in perpetuating the Biden cover-up has severely damaged his credibility, and with Trump judges siding with the Trump administration on key media-related cases, legacy outlets are beginning to feel the strain. The Associated Press has been banished from the Oval Office, a symbolic and powerful moment signaling the break between the White House and traditional media. The Washington Post, once considered a bastion of journalistic integrity, is now pivoting toward a more pro-market libertarian stance under Jeff Bezos's leadership. This shift is not without controversy. Columnists and reporters who have spent their careers working in the old ways are grappling with the new direction the media is taking. The resignation of a prominent opinion editor at the Washington Post is just one example of the fallout. This is more than just a passing phase in the media industry. It's a fundamental change that is forcing media outlets to reconsider how they engage with the public. The demand for alternative voices and the ability to discuss real issues without the influence of corporate agendas is at an all-time high. For those in the political establishment, this changing media landscape presents new challenges.